I want to talk to you about how to get a business loan from PayPal, Stripe, or Square. Okay. And the cool thing is, if you're trying to really get a business loan from those providers, you actually have the possibility of getting approved without credit check. Okay. So let me first give you an overview here. So if you think about getting a business loan from PayPal, Stripe, or Square, you have to understand that those three providers, they actually service payments for millions of small businesses every day. So they are within close proximity to business owners' pain points. Okay, especially Square and Stripe. Everybody thinks it's actually PayPal, but you've got Square and Stripe actually being pretty prominent when it comes to payment service providers. Okay, so at the top of that list is getting the capital. When it comes to pain points, we're speaking about getting the capital to scale it and actually expand. Okay, and those are important elements. If you want to scale and expand, you don't have access to funding. This could be problematic, and so these payment processors give their clients. I'm speaking about PayPal, Stripe, and Square. Give their clients loans based primarily on sales. So we are speaking about revenue based financing. That's why I was just telling you a little earlier that you don't need to really check an entrepreneur's credit if you know that the business is generating revenue because it's a primarily revenue based financing. So since credit history is not factored in the process as heavily, if at all, it's often easier to get accepted for these loans compared to traditional bank loans or credit union loans. Okay. So after the financial crisis of 2008, traditional banks slowed lending to small business owners, creating a gap in funding resources that payment processors were eager to actually fill. So this new type of loan provides cash quickly, and repayment is usually flexible. And so that's really cool. And since these loans are easier to access and have fewer requirements, they can be a good resource for mid-stage businesses. They have at least $3,000 in monthly sales. Okay, mid-stage, not just startup. No. Okay, this is important. So when you think about a mid-stage business, you're speaking about a business that has a steady sales volume, but needs more funding to hit its next milestones. Okay, so that's important to really keep in mind. So let me first talk to you about Square Capital. So if you think about getting a loan, a business loan from PayPal, Stripe, or Square, let's first talk about Square Capital. So how do you work with Square Capital, which actually offers repayment based on sales? Okay, they look at your revenue. It's important to really pay attention to that. And so one thing I want to say here is that when you think about Square Capital, I want you to think about a maximum of $250,000. So this is a lender that actually will look at your sales number, right? So you're looking at borrowing anywhere from $500 to $250,000. Okay, so if you use Square as your payment processor primarily, either for retail or e-commerce, the company offers funding through Square Capital. Okay. Now the thing is, when people think about Square, they think, well, you have to be like necessarily into e-commerce. No, you can be a brick and mortar and also qualify for Square Capital. As long as you use Square as your payment processor, you are good to go. Okay. And Square Capital started actually in 2014. Okay. And so the program originally was a cash advance program, but now they actually have expanded. Okay, so and the loans can be deposited in as little as one business day. So you're looking at 24 hours of turnaround. This is really fantastic. So you can actually see if you are eligible for a loan directly on your Square dashboard. So right now, do me a favor. If you use Square as your payment processor, go into your Square dashboard and see if you see a little sign like an offer there. So this is an invite only. Invite only. You can reach out to Square too, but usually if you are eligible, Square will just make the first step. Okay, they'll reach out to you. So eligibility is primarily based on number of sales coming through the platform, not credit score. In general, the more sales your business makes, the more money you'll be approved to actually to borrow. Okay, so repayment is flexible and based on daily sales. On a slower week, you'll pay back less, and on a busier week, you'll pay back more. Let me first talk to you about PayPal. So, if you think about how to get a business loan from PayPal, basically, PayPal is a little more interesting in the sense that PayPal offers three types of funding. Okay, so Square Capital offers one, Stripe offers one, but PayPal offers three types of funding. Well, it's totally normal because PayPal has been around for longer. PayPal has been around for years now, so this is pretty good in terms of experience, but also in terms of depth and breadth of loans offered. So PayPal began actually in 2013. Okay, again, they began giving business loans away in 2013. Okay, and they began because they heard from their sellers that those sellers were having trouble actually securing traditional bank loans following the 2008 financial crisis. So everything started actually following the 2008 financial crisis. Okay, so if PayPal actually is your payment processor, the company offers different options. You have PayPal Working Capital, and you have actually also PayPal Business Loans. And I told you that there are three options. Okay, the third option is Loan Builder. Okay, so but I will talk about the Loan Builder program later on. Let me first talk to you about the top two, the Working Capital program and the PayPal Business Loan program. So the main difference between PayPal Working Capital and PayPal Business Loans actually revolve around the repayment terms. So PayPal Working Capital takes a percent of daily sales, ranging from 5% to 30%, selected by the business owner. So you are in charge here. You have to choose the percent you want PayPal to deduct from your daily sales. So that's the first. That's the first option. Second option, PayPal Business Loans are actually automatically paid back at a weekly fixed amount. Okay, the first one is on a daily amount. The second is on a weekly amount. So to be eligible for working capital, your business must be at least 3 months old and process at least $15,000 in annual PayPal sales. So similar to Square Capital, there is actually no credit check, which makes sense because the application is based on payment processing history. We're speaking about revenue-based financing. So to get a business loan through PayPal, your business needs to make at least $42,000 in annual revenue, and the application does require a credit check. So the third option, so if you don't actually use PayPal, you can apply for a PayPal service called Loan Builder, which offers loans from 5,000 up to half a million and requires a credit check. Let me first talk to you now about Stripe. So, how do you actually get a business loan from Stripe this year? And just to remind you, Stripe actually partners with Funding Circle for bigger loans. This is actually the only processor who partners with a third party to offer bigger loans. By the way, in case you don't know, Funding Circle, this is a lender that's been around for many years now. Okay, so Stripe actually is one of the latest companies to offer loans to its clients, launching Stripe Capital in September 2019. Okay, now the company doesn't have a set range for its loans, but they say that typically go from $5,000 to $20,000. Now you can actually get more if you call them, but also if you process way more transactions through your Stripe account. Okay. And so Stripe Capital works similar to Square Capital. Eligibility primarily is based on sales volume through the processor, not credit. Okay. So if you have bad credit, if you have fair credit, you can rest assured that this will not impact your availability, your eligibility. Okay. And also, but you can see that Stripe actually offers relatively lower loan amounts. Now, repayments also is based on daily sales, automatically deducting a percent of total sales until the loan is paid off. Okay, so this is kind of cool. But one thing I want to say is that if you want to borrow all the way to $500,000, you can actually work through Stripe. But through Stripe, you apply through Funding Circle. So Funding Circle is primarily a peer-to-peer lending company. So if you are a small business owner and you can basically apply. So whether you have bad credit or fair credit or good credit, you can apply for a loan through Funding Circle. But Stripe expedites the application process for its clients by copying over their sales history. Okay, so this is kind of cool because this is a partnership between Stripe and Funding Circle. Okay, so this is kind of cool. And now a minimum credit score of 620 is required. Loan for Stripe clients go up to 25,000, but Funding Circle independently offers loans from 25 grand all the way to $5 million. Let's talk about another payment processor. This is a lesser known payment processor, but basically they're coming strong too. They're really expanding real fast. This is Shopify. Now, everybody thinks about Shopify as an e-commerce giant. Yes, they are an e-commerce giant, but they also provide payment processing. They also do POS services. They also have some funding solutions for folks, for users on the platform. Okay. So how do you work with Shopify Capital, which recently launched smaller loans starting at $200? So one thing you need to really understand here is that Shopify is an e-commerce platform and a point of sale system for online retailers servicing more than 1 million merchants globally. So what I want you to really understand here is that with Shopify, you can still use Shopify if you are a brick and mortar store. Let's say you have a physical store and you're trying to move online to sort of expand your business. You can actually use Shopify not only in terms of setting up your business, but also to collect payments from customers online. Because Shopify has, of course, a payment processing service online, but also offline. Okay, and so Shopify actually has offered funding through Shopify Capital since 2016 and is now offering similar smaller loans starting at $200 and can go all the way to 20 million. Okay, it all depends on your sales. So if your business is already using Shopify for e-commerce or even for your offline business, you can apply for loans and cash advances up to $1 million. Cash advances are available for businesses in all 50 U.S. states, while loans are limited to businesses in select states. So let me know if you want to know more. I don't want to list all the states here, but if you let me know in the comment section, I'll let you know whether or not Shopify services business loans in your area. So to qualify, your business must use Shopify Payments and connect its bank accounts to the platform. There is no credit check, kind of similar to PayPal, Stripe, and Square. There's no, like what happens here that Shopify processes applicants based on the type of business, orders processed, and time on the platform. Repayment is based on percentage of daily sales. So the more you sell through the platform, the sooner your loan will be paid off. Okay, so this is kind of cool, especially when it comes to flexibility. So what's the comparison here? If you think about getting a business loan from PayPal, Stripe, or Square, you have to really understand that the bottom line is it's all about how much you could actually get, but also the speed at which the information is processed. Okay, so when it comes to comparing those three players, Square Capital, PayPal Working Capital, and Stripe Capital, The application actually type is automatic. So on Square and Stripe, you have an automatic offer. For PayPal working capital, you have to apply. Okay. Now the funding time is a little variable because for Square Capital, you are looking at 1 to 3 days. For PayPal working capital, you have funding happening in minutes, and for Stripe Capital, you have 1 to 2 days. So this is kind of cool, okay? And the repayment type is similar across the board on all three or even four payment processors. It is a percentage of credit card sales, okay? And by the way, when I say credit card sales, I also mean debit card sales. It just had to be a percentage of electronic sales. And there is no credit check. Okay, there's no credit check here, so that's totally cool. And when it thinks the early repayment, you also have some kind of flexibility too, because and while all three companies like to call their financing loans and working capital, they're really merchant cash advances. Okay, so because basically MCAs, that's how that's the shortcut. MCAs give you a sum of money upfront. Then you repay that sum plus a fixed fee with a fixed percentage of your future credit card and debit card sales. Okay. And if you're getting super technical, Square, PayPal, and Stripe offer loans because sometimes their funds come with a specific date they must be paid back. Okay. MCAs don't, but for practical purposes, these loans function like merchant cash advances. One thing I want to say here is that it doesn't matter as long as you're using one of the platforms for processing your debit card sale, your credit card sales, you are really good to go. Okay, it's all about the kind of payment processor you are currently using right now. Okay, so if you don't want a merchant cash advance, you can reach out to other other loans. There are actually other loans you have to understand. But one thing for sure, you have the possibility to borrow more through Square Capital because Square Capital gives you a maximum loan amount of $250,000, whereas for PayPal Working Capital you're looking at 125,000, and for Stripe Capital you're looking at $150,000. Okay, so that's really something to really keep in mind this year. So, what's the decision here? If you think about how to get a business loan from PayPal, Stripe, or Square, you have to understand that it's all about your payment processor. So, PayPal Working Capital is best for PayPal users. Stripe Capital is best for Stripe users. Okay, and Square Capital is actually best for Square users. I mean, there is no way for you to apply for a Square Capital loan, but if you qualify, Square will let you know on your Square dashboard. And fortunately, Square reviews your eligibility daily. Can you imagine that? Daily, they review that. So if you are eligible, you will know ASAP. And also, one thing I want to say here is that Square doesn't publish the exact algorithm it uses to determine eligibility, but it does offer some general guidelines. For example, you need to process at least 10 grand in Square payments a year, have a steady stream of payments, and have a mix of new and old customers. Plus, you can expect a better offer if you are processing more payments over time, right? So it's all about the volume of transactions you actually process through the platform. And to qualify for financing with PayPal Working Capital, you need to have used PayPal Business or PayPal Premier for at least 3 months. And after that, you can apply. So there is no automatic eligibility. You have to apply. Note that PayPal has clearly defined revenue requirements depending on your account type. For example, PayPal Business customers have slightly lower revenue requirements than PayPal Premier customers. Okay, so here you are talking about basically $15,000 a year in PayPal Business sales, $20,000 a year in PayPal Premier sales. Okay, so that's important. And for Stripe Capital, the requirements are a little different. So basically, you have to understand they started late in this niche. Okay, but If Stripe likes what it says in your account, because this is automatic eligibility too, they will offer you your financing. They will offer you a financing model. Sometimes that's a loan with a set repayment term, and other times is an MCA without a specified term. Either way, your financing comes with a fixed fee, and you actually repay your funds with a percentage of your Stripe credit card sales. Okay. Again, we're looking at a maximum amount of $150,000. But if you go through Funding Circle, you can actually get a maximum of 250. No, sorry, half a million if you go through Funding Circle. So in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about how to get a business loan from PayPal, Stripe, or Square. I gave you the overview, the Square Capital process, the PayPal process, the Stripe process, the Shopify process, and finally the comparison and the decision. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.